Some of the time when I feel bad, I just feel like killing myself or something like that. It feels so bad.
John Davidson is 16. He suffers from a disturbing neurological disorder, once regarded as a wild madness.
Well, so...
But when you know him better, you discover that John's not mad.
Hello? Could I speak to the duty officer, please?
Last year, John's mother called the social services and asked them to warn the police about his disorder. John had sworn at an officer and came close to arrest.
About my son, John. My son was approached in the street by a police officer who swore at him because my son had used foul language. My son has Tourette syndrome. Yes, he comes out with quite abusive words. He shouts them.
The point is, Tourette syndrome makes John swear when he doesn't want to.
Control these words. The thoughts come into his head and he just says them.
It has made his life, and the life of his family, almost impossible in the close-knit, well-ordered community of Galashiels where they live.
No, he won't hurt anybody.
Back up!
Sorry, slippers.
Tourette's syndrome is quite rare and is seldom as intense as John's, varying from small involuntary tics and obsessions to what the scientists call full-blown Tourette's, like this.
Back up!
I wonder what on earth you were doing, shouting at her like that.
But if you didn't know about John, what would you think as he passed you in the street?
Hey, back! That's the place Dad didn't mind. Houses and bookstores.
That's right, yeah. Of course, they've got it all fitted out now.
All the pigs.
Yeah, all the pigs. So, darling, hang on.
It feels like... I think... It's hard to explain. It's... When I feel I'm going to say it, I try and stop myself, but it just feels as if I have to say it. It's like somebody's forcing it out of me.
John.
Back up!
I want some fruit.
Because he feels that the words are being forced out of him, John buttons his lip, almost literally, in an attempt to keep the offending words private in his head, rather than public in the shop.
I'll get a big bag of potatoes.
Cut! Fuck it!
Get those weights, will you?
It's not always swear words. Sometimes he barks and yelps. Perhaps because John is an adolescent, most of his involuntary outbursts are sexual, particularly if he sees a young woman.
Football strip for William.
None of the specialists investigating this puzzling disease can offer any convincing explanation about why sexual words predominate. Words that shock local people.
Look for one without the preservatives in, John. I'll get the right one.
What kind of coffee do you want, Mum?
Nescafe. I need dog food
You need
too.
dog meat as well?
Yeah, I'll get bonus. Yeah, I'll just get the one. It's for carrying it. I'll just take the one. They've moved the coffee. It must be on the other side.
Then sometimes the outbursts seem more directed, more focused. Here he tries to stop himself calling his mother a slut.
No, Tuesday, I think, if we've got it.
Slut! Mum, you slut!
Kitty cat. Catkin. We'll get catkins. That's only 26. That'll do.
Any biscuits for me?
No.
I'll need a bowl for my bedroom, remember? Is it a big one or a normal one?
Will an ordinary one fit?
I don't know. Just get a normal one, she'll fit.
So 60 watt, that should be enough.
Yeah.
Can you see where the coffees are? There it is, John.
Fuck up! Fucking this. Oh, do you want this coffee or Max?
Yes,
Gold wings, nice.
Do you know a bit?
Hey, fuck up!
So while these tics and head jerks are clearly involuntary and random, John's swear words sometimes seem connected in mysterious ways to the world around him.
Fuck shit.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
He is both aware of the words and of what they mean, and perhaps more important, what they mean to others.
Sometimes I think that I say them because I know they're disgusting and I know that somebody's going to get angry about it or turn about it. And that when I think of that, it just makes me worse. That's exactly what my mum thinks as well. The noises as well, I know it's going to annoy somebody, so I just can't stop myself from doing it.
His language is very bad now. Some of the words he comes out with is really very shocking. You know, his jerking's not quite as bad. He went through a stage where he was jerking so bad he was falling over. He would suddenly have a rapid arm movement. You know, he'd throw his arm to the side and just about knock the person out that was walking next to him. Not deliberate, you know, it was all involuntary. We didn't know that at the time, though. You know, we didn't know what was happening with John at all. In fact, we thought he was going mad.
Of course John's not mad. But Galashiels is a town of only 13,000 people. They attend the same schools and churches and go to the same pubs. The police know many of the people by name. If you're afflicted with a public disorder like Tourette's, a small town is a difficult place in which to hide.
I used to walk through the town in Galashiels to get back and forward to college. But recently I've not been doing that. And when I used to walk through the town I felt alright. I wasn't bothered about anyone looking at me and that. But now I can't cope walking through the town and I just feel like everyone's looking at me. And now I go a right detour right round the town to come to college. But
for John, there is a real need to hide and to be alone. The peace and serenity he finds along the banks of the River Tweed have a remarkable effect. Gone are the exhausting explosions of foul language, the yelps and the tics. Here he is oddly quiet. Quite clearly the pressure of strangers or even friends has a lot to do with his outbursts.
I suppose the things I choose, it's like I'm trying to avoid other people. Like when I go fishing and I see a friend, somebody I know that's fishing, I'd rather be further down the river on my own fishing than be with someone else.
But being alone is not the complete answer. Paradoxically, Touretters make excellent musicians, dancers and athletes. For John, the boisterous noise of college basketball is a great piece.
Thomas, back, Thomas! Thomas.
He's good at it too.
When I first started the school, I was getting teased a lot because I blinked. And then, from then on, I never used to want to go to school. I just, because of getting teased. And, So my mum just let me stay off and then phoned the school and explained that I was getting teased, and the school would say, right, they'd look into it. And then I'd go the next day and it'd be the same thing, and I'd end up walking out to school. For instance, in the college, when I'm walking through the college, when I first started going to college, I was making noises. People just look at me and give me a funny look. Then about a week later, they used to always come after me and shout things and that. And I knew instantly, as soon as I'd start speaking to them, they'd just laugh or say, oh, you know, don't believe you. There was a teacher that just didn't want to accept it as well in the college. He was explained, and he told them at the time that he'd understand and that, but a couple of weeks in the classroom, he just threw me out. You know, he just couldn't cope. He kept saying that I was just disrupting the classroom, and I wasn't able to be in the classroom because of it, and just nasty things like that. And he said a couple of times to the boys, if I went to the toilet, he said to the other boys, I hope he doesn't come back, and things like that. It's really nasty.
A couple of teachers were very bad to John. You know, one teacher in particular pulled John out in front of the class and said that he was mental, that he ought to be locked up. Another teacher locked him in a cupboard because he was disrupting the class.
Today, John attends special lessons at a local college. But some things never get any easier. There are few who would regard this relaxing midday break as threatening. It's a time for friendly conversation, for meeting people from other classes, eating and drinking. All of us take social rituals like this for granted. Listening while others talk, we eat our food in an ordered way. But for John, none of this is possible.
Sometimes I just feel like everyone hates you. Just because I've got this, I just feel like everyone hates you. And
the pressure is enormous. If you feel hated, nowhere feels friendly. Unlike the quiet calm of the empty classroom or riverbank, the whispering silence of the local library is an impossible challenge.
Fuck off! Hey! Oh, God. Fuck off! Hey! Hey! Fuck off!
Tourette syndrome is one of several baffling neurological disorders that radically alter what we call normal behaviour. For one man, such afflictions are so fascinating, he's turned stories about them into best-selling books. Neurologist Dr. Oliver Sacks.
The range of symptoms is enormous and extraordinary. Things were put together about a century ago by a French neurologist, by Gilles de la Tourette, who saw these sudden violent movements and noises, and also sometimes sudden extraordinary perceptions and ideas and convulsions of the imagination and the emotions as forming a sort of syndrome of body and mind, as being a sort of possession with an organic basis, which usually would appear in childhood. It might get better after adolescence, but tended to last all through the person's life. He also commented on a tendency to suggestibility, to imitation, to echoing, and to the sudden exclamation sometimes of obscene or profane words.
Oh, man. Fucking it! Can't.
It may be that medication would help him to some extent. I get the feeling that if he's overloaded with medication, he feels half dead, and that's not good. Perhaps there's some level of medication which will help him. But the most important thing is that he come to terms with it, and especially that other people come to terms with it.
Coming to terms with such a publicly humiliating form of Tourette's is not easy. Soon John will need a job. Again, not easy for someone who's likely to swear at his boss. It's 9 o'clock on a frosty morning, and John's class arrives at the college horticulture centre.
Are you ready, Kobe? Back off. Are you ready?
It's part of special vocational training for slow learners. Because of his trouble at school, John fell behind in his studies and now attends these special classes. But John is keen, bright and quick to learn. Ironically, this has put him at the top of his class.
So we'll be in the glass house and we'll be in the workshop. You're painting again, John, I see you.
Yeah?
You're painting again.
I'm afraid so.
Delicate pink.
That was Kobe, wasn't it? Painting.
Aye, you do.
Not painting.
Aye.
We all ready then?
With Kobe.
Maybe that we were missing.
The plant must be in the centre. Right, must be in the centre.
Alistair Fraser, John's teacher, ignores the bad language and instead uses his enthusiasm to motivate the other students.
If your plant's not in the middle, don't give it a yank up, because what will happen is it'll break the roots and the plant will just die. That's
Look at that!
It's getting worse. Who done that one?
David! Fucking idiot. Prick!
You get yourselves into a right guddle here.
Shit! Oh, you cunt.
That's a bit shallow, that, isn't it? It's not even in the middle. I think some of you boys are cross-eyed.
Hey, cunt!
What do you mean?
Beans, you fat cunt! Hey, big nose!
Put them right in the middle, have you?
Alistair.
Mate, go big nose!
Yes.
See when you're changing...
At 16, John is at the crossroads of his life.
That's good. Getting better, eh?
Not only does he carry the burden of Tourette's, but he's changing from boy to man, from classmate to worker.
Not looking very happy there.
To John, these horticulture classes offer a rare chance to learn a skill.
Okay, lads.
But the jinx of Tourette's mocks his efforts.
What do we call these plants?
Spider plant.
Spider plants. Remember, a couple of weeks back, we took off the offsets
Recently, John has started spitting at people.
and put them in these pots. You can see they're nicely grown away. So we'll take out someone's plant and see how it's doing.
That one?
Yeah.
Fuck's sake.
We don't know who that one is.
That's Kobe's.
Kobe's. There you are then. Let's see how it's doing. But I can tell because it's
Fucking cunt!
reasonably firm in the pot there. Knock it out. There's no evidence.
It needs to be said, incidentally, that Tourette's is not a progressive disease, and people with mild tics will never move into the sort of yelling and cursing which John shows.
You want the compost all the way around, but it seems to be surviving there. So another way of...
Then, quite suddenly, John's curses are focused again.
these trays here.
Here, he reacts to his teacher's error by calling him an effing idiot.
Very well.
Whoops. Fucking
see?
idiot.
Yeah. So we'll be potting these on later on this afternoon.
All of us, I think, feel obscenities and sort of angry curses rising in us, but we repress them, we inhibit them. In John, I think it tends to leap over the bounds of inhibition. Generally, there's disinhibition and Tourette's. which can go all ways, which means the Tourette feels too much, but also too much comes out of him. There's a sort of transparency. He has to bear a bad form of Tourette's, and a particularly distressing one to him and to others, because it involves these socially disruptive yells and, above all, words. So he has to use obscenities. He struggles with this. He wants to say, fuck. So, this image of him holding his mouth for so much of the time, so that things don't burst out, is very painful to see.
We sometimes say to him, for goodness sake, John, you can't, you don't have to do that, stop it. And he can't, really. When you stop and think about it, you think, oh, I shouldn't have lost my temper, really, he can't help it. But it's difficult to live with. It's terrible to live with.
Shut up! Thump you one?
Now, come on, behave.
Tea time is no fun. The cake in the centre of the table is covered with a plastic box to keep John's spit off it. As well as William and Caroline, John has an older sister away at college in Edinburgh. But whereas his younger brother and sister are prepared to sit and eat with him if forced to, John's father prefers not to face the spit and bad language.
Does he fuck off?
He's normally in. Quite often he's late, because he works. Does extra jobs on the side. And he doesn't like this.
Laughing.
Carry on either. It put a great strain on us. We came to the point where we were breaking up because of my husband's attitude. He tended to go and drink to get away from it. Which I don't blame him. If I could have done something like that, I think I use my work. When I'm at work, I forget about the house.
Fucking little butt. Stop laughing, you.
They sometimes have their friends to stay. Caroline has a friend that comes and stays the night sometimes, and
William invites his friends
they just
in.
accept John. They're not
For that,
bad.
Mum.
It's the older children don't like it as much.
Now you see why I don't like sitting with him.
That's the worst habit he's got. Is the spitting.
You not want that bit of fish?
It's the hardest one to live with,
Mum.
really.
Are you not wanting that bit of fish?
You can have it, John, if you want.
I don't like the chips, Mum.
I thought you were full up.
It's the chips I don't like. Too greasy.
No, like you are. Brain food, John.
Pardon me. Tiny fish, is this had it? Cod?
We had it, John, cod's today.
I don't want that, Mum.
I'll have it, no one.
I'm sure the cat will enjoy it.
As a professional nurse, Mrs. Davidson accepts John's affliction as a medical condition. But her mother, John's grandmother, believes he is possessed by darker forces.
God's sake.
She thinks that John has the devil in him, that he should go to church and beg forgiveness for his sins and all this.
Tourette himself had written a book about possession in the theological sense, but this was a neurological possession. But it was a neurological disease which was also a public disorder, because necessarily it exploded into the public domain and people would have to react to it.
They're just a smaller post office. Sometimes
Because the disease prevents John behaving normally in public, he attends special classes where necessary social routines can be practiced.
No, do you know what that means? I need...
Here, John and his classmates deal with tasks like paying fares on a bus, dealing with government forms, or today, the type of questions he might get asked at a post office.
Need a visit to the post office. Okay, you. Trusty? Postalogist, what do you think? We get
As John is bright, he doesn't have much difficulty with all this in the classroom, whereas teacher Lorna Peggy is forced to face the difficulties of John's Tourette's.
Get it in anyone.
I would think so, yeah.
Lorna, I can't.
That's something that you can check.
The spitting is manageable, but with girls in the class, the sexually explicit language is more difficult to cope with.
So many of the things he says have a sexual connotation, and when girls are around, these are the things he says. It's all right here because the girls understand, although, you know, they do take offence occasionally, and one girl had a particular problem in understanding that it wasn't directed at her personally, that it was, you know, something that John does, and he's more upset about it than she would be.
Personal or not, John's obscenities will always be a verbal time bomb waiting to go off in public.
Fuck up. There. Cut. Four first class stamps, please. Fuck up. What an inquiry about a dog licence? What? How much is it?
There are no official figures for sufferers of Tourette's. Estimates vary, but about one person in every 3,000 seems to be the accepted average. The reason for the vagueness is the range of the affliction.
Lethal weapons on.
John's Tourette's may be extreme, but it's not unique. For sufferers of this socially unacceptable disease, the only real hope is that the rest of us will understand that people like John are not mad.
This is what I'd be... See that? So this is what I'd be digging up if I was working with the Parks Department now.
Would it?
Yeah.
At this time of year?
Hey! Back up!
Right, I think we're going to cross here, John.
There's something... One just keep thinking why it has to be me and not folk that are criminals or deserve it. Come on. Stop.